up, y'all? Welcome back to this week's Bourbon of the Week. If you haven't been here before, you've probably not met my fiance, Marissa. If you've been here, you definitely know of her by now. Well, she and I were talking the other night, and she thinks she can do a better job at this than I do. So we're going to give her a chance today. She's going to introduce the bourbon, she's going to review it herself, and then we're going to get into Chris's reviews at the end so we can get the final stamp of approval on this Hudson Baby Bourbon that she bought me on her bachelorette party. Let's send it over to her and see what she thinks.
What's up, y'all, and welcome back to this week's Bourbon of the Week. What I do here on this channel is I take the bourbons from my collection and I rank them on a ranking sheet so that you know what bourbons are best, at least in my humble opinion. This week, we're doing Hudson Whiskey Baby Bourbon, which I actually got Chris when I was on my bachelorette party and he told me some interesting things about it, so I'm ready to try it for myself. So this bourbon is made with 100% corn, so I'm interested to see how it measures up with the other bourbons that we've tried with the different mash bills. So as I said, today we're trying Hudson Whiskey Baby Bourbon, and as you know, before we get started, it's time for the traditional sip. I'm gonna pour up a little sample here. It's probably a lot more than I want to drink. So, time for the traditional sip. Woo! So as you know, we have our three categories: drinkability, price, taste. So let's start it off. So drinkability. How much of a kick am I getting here? As you guys know, I don't really like bourbon, but I feel like the kick isn't too bad. Let me give it another little sample. The proof is 92, it's 46%, so really not too bad for a 92, I would say. I'll give it like a 7.5 on drinkability. I think Chris would agree with me. So moving on to taste, like I said in the intro, this is 100% corn, so you're going to have a sweeter taste to it, which I can definitely get from trying it. The bottle said it should taste little hints of vanilla, caramel. What else did it say? Nutty, oak. I don't really know what oak tastes like, but let me give it another sip before I rate it. I would say it's definitely sweet. I do get the vanilla taste. Not sure about everything else because I'm not a bourbon tasting expert, but not bad. I do like a sweeter bourbon. So this for me is pretty yummy. For taste, my final rating is going to be 7.7. So getting into price on this, I obviously know a lot about the price because I paid for it. I was on my bachelorette party, we were at a winery, and they mentioned that they do have some Hudson Valley bourbon there, and I was like so excited. I couldn't wait to buy it for Chris and give him a little surprise from being away for the weekend. But I was a little bit upset with the quality for such a high-priced bourbon. For one thing, the cork didn't come off nicely. It kind of got stuck, and there's pieces of cork in this as we speak. So $53 and bad quality, I would say I'm not very impressed. I don't think it's really worth the $53, especially for some of the other bourbons that I've tried that I've liked that were way less expensive than that. So price, I'm going to put it kind of low. I would say a 6 for price, a flat 6. All right, so I calculated my 3 scores, and it'll give us an average of 7.07. That's going to put this bourbon 21st on the list, under Jim Beam Double Oaked. I think that's where it belongs. I mean, I haven't tried most of the bourbons on the list, but I have tried a few, and this isn't one of my favorites, although it doesn't taste too terrible. Still mad about the price. I think that's really what drags it down. All right, and as we know, this is Chris's YouTube channel. I don't want to leave him out of the video, even though I did such a great job. So we're going to bring him back, let him try it, and do his official ratings, and see how close I was able to get, and we'll see if he thinks I did a good job. And we're back. I found Chris, told him it was time for his official review. So let's get started.
Let's get started. Did you do the traditional sip?
Of course I did.
Wonderful.
This is authentic.
Authentic. Let's find out how you did. I don't know her official score yet, but we're going to give this a try and see where it falls. Cheers. Not a big fan off the rip here, but I don't know if she mentioned this. This is 46% alcohol by volume. You mentioned that?
Yep.
Which is 92 proof. You mentioned that as well. So this is a little bit of a higher proof. Not too terrible on the drinkability scale. I thought it would be a little bit worse. From what I read up on it, it is a younger bourbon. I think it's only aged 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, on the bottle it says aged for a minimum of 2 years.
Minimum of 2. So bourbon has to be aged for 2 years. So not terrible. Not the greatest on drinkability. I don't want to put it too high. But again, being in those 90 proof area, I'm going to give this like a 7.4 on the drinkability scale. You remember what you gave?
Yeah, 7.5. You're
7.5?
really close.
Whoa, that wasn't too terrible. I thought she was going to be way off on that. She usually thinks everything's way too harsh. So next, obviously, we're going to get into taste on this, and this is where I think this struggles a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of this taste. It has it's like some weird taste. I can't really put my finger on it. It's got a couple of the traditional, it's got the bourbon. It's really sweet. This is 100% corn. I don't know if you mentioned that. You did mention that.
I did.
100% corn, so it's very sweet. I usually like a sweeter bourbon, but without any type of rye kick, it's definitely all the ethanol that you're getting, no real spices. But even when you smell this, I'm not a big like, oh, I can get floral notes out of this. But there's something weird when you smell it and when you taste it. Real bad aftertaste, if you ask me. Lasts pretty long in the mouth, so it's not like a short finish or anything like that. But taste, I think this is going to struggle. I'm going to drop this in at like I'm going to say like a 5.9. It's really not my favorite type of taste. What did you give it?
I think I gave it a 7.7. But now that you're saying all of that, I do notice the aftertaste now that I've been drinking it for a little while.
It's
so
weird. It's
not
got
a
like,
fan of that.
Got like
it's like I
weird...
need to clean my mouth.
So it's 100% New York corn. This is a New York bourbon, not a Kentucky straight bourbon. So it's 100% New York corn. And it just, like I said, it has some weird aftertaste to it that I'm not too fond of. Do you taste that?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I don't know. $53.
$53.
Yeah, it's like...
It's weird. What is it?
Like licorice almost.
It tastes like liquor. It tastes like black licorice. Not my favorite candy.
I don't know if anyone likes black
Nobody
licorice.
likes black licorice. But it says on the bottle like what?
Don't.
Salted caramel?
Yeah,
I don't get
over
anything
here,
like that.
Where the barrel pictures are.
Where the barrel pictures are. Salted caramel and toasted oak. Vanilla, salted caramel. It's not a salted caramel taste though. It tastes like black licorice.
Yeah, I taste the vanilla, but don't taste the caramel.
And then for price on this, you said $53? Mm-hmm. $53, and that's in New York, which is where it's distilled. So I don't know. I don't think I have seen it on the shelves here in Pennsylvania. I haven't looked at what they run in Pennsylvania, but $53 for this, way overpriced if you ask me. Way out of its range. I know it's probably a smaller. This is year 20, batch 106, bottle 327. So it's probably a smaller distillery. $53 is just way too high for what you're getting for this. They tried to do something with 100% corn, but it just doesn't really work. It's way too sweet for a bourbon. If you're looking for a traditional bourbon, this isn't the one to go with. If you're looking for something different, sure, give it a try. But for $53, I wouldn't get another bottle. I'm going to drop this in at like a 6.0 straight across the board on the price scale.
That's what I did.
A 6.0?
Yes.
What are the odds? Look at you.
I'm ready for this.
So you got taste. You got taste a little wrong, but everything else you were close on. Drinkability again, not bad. That taste is just terrible.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste good. So 6.0 on the price scale. Let's see. That's going to give us an average of 6.43, which is actually going to rank it 23rd out of, I think we have 25 on the list. Where did yours fall?
Mine was 21st.
21st.
So pretty close.
You were pretty close. Not terrible. I thought it would be last on the list. I would have to check again what's underneath it, but this is just not a very good bourbon. For $53, you kind of got robbed on your bachelorette party, but it was the thought that counts, and I love you for getting it for me.
I'm always thinking about
That's all that matters. So that's where we're going to fall, but before we end it, I don't think Riss gave you the bourbon bomb of the week, so let's get back to her for that.
Time for this week's bourbon bomb. This bourbon is actually the first bourbon to be produced in New York State legally since the Prohibition, which is kind of cool. Another interesting fact, this bourbon is sonically matured, meaning that they use bass speakers to agitate the bourbon while it's sitting in the barrel.
So that's the bourbon bomb of the week. This is the bourbon we went with. Wish it scored a little bit higher, but babe, I appreciate you getting it for me. I'm sure we'll finish it off eventually, and if not, I'll just give it to my friends when they come over and tell them how great of a bourbon it is. But there we have it, Hudson Whiskey Baby Bourbon. Appreciate you stopping back this week. Make sure you comment in the comment section below who you think did a better job, me or Marissa for our bourbon bombs, for everything we did this week. Thank you, Marissa, for trying this out. Maybe she doesn't try it again next week, but keep in store. We got a couple cool things coming up for you, including a Halloween special. So make sure you stick by for that. And if you don't already, click that like, click that subscribe button. Once we get to 250 subscribers, we're doing our next big giveaway. Please don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. And as always,
wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Pandemic's getting worse, y'all. You're not doing your thing. Cheers. Walk away.
Who's not doing their thing?
Everybody. Pandemic's getting worse.
Time for the traditional sip.